What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also leave likes and comments on our Facebook page. Follow us on iTunes and Spotify, and visit our website, talklouderpodcast.com, for swag, etc. I'm Metal Dave Glessner, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, and we've got a great show today. I'm already smiling.
We do.
We've got David Roach from Junkyard on the show today.
Yay.
And I just know this is going to be a doozy, because that guy is so much fun, and he's just raw and unrehearsed and doesn't mind speaking his mind. And and you guys have a history together that people are going to learn about.
We've known each other. We've known each other since 1981.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you think about the years, that's old man years.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That goes back a ways. You guys even went to high school together, and we'll talk about that with David. Most people may not know that. So let's get right into it with David Roach. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, David Roach, singer for Junkyard.
Yay.
Greetings from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Skyline.
Wow.
Like it.
Wow, you're in Cleveland, huh? Hello.
It could be any city in the world if you close your eyes a certain way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like
How are you, man?
Imagination.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm well.
Good.
Compared to Midland.
Yeah.
I suck. No, I'm good.
Well, we're glad you could join us today. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, of course. I'm a big Junkyard fan, so I got all kinds of stuff to talk about. But I think we should first start with you and Jason have a history together that goes all the way back to high school. And when I first moved to Austin in '95, Jason and I became friends. I was over at his house one time, and he was showing me his high school yearbook, and you had signed his yearbook and he had signed yours or something. And the messages were something similar along the lines of, see you when we make it, or whatever. You both had aspirations of making music a career, and you did. And so tell us a little bit about how you guys met and ran into each other in high school, and just kind of bring us up to date.
Well, I don't know if Jason and I met at high school or work first, because Jason, we worked at the same steakhouse in Austin, and I was a cook and he was a dishwasher. And Jason used to be in the back with his little cassette player, rocking Saxon or something, and put lemon juice in his hair to bleach it out, and he'd wear a full gauntlet while he was washing dishes and just singing the whole time. And
heavy metal.
And yeah, we went to high school together, and we dated briefly, but it didn't really work out. So, but we remained friends.
Well, I thought it was cool that your family worked there.
Yeah, the whole family worked there.
Yeah, your family worked there, and I recall just good times and good vibes with your whole family.
Yeah,
and
fun bunch.
You might be, yeah, the Roaches, the fun bunch. That's a good question. It would hurt my brain cell too much to actually uncover the truth of the origin of, well, was it at the restaurant was called Another Raw Deal. So was it at Another Raw Deal, or was it at Austin High? And I want to think that it was in art class.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Another
because I think that I had gotten the dishwashing gig after, and I was probably just 17.
I got you in the door, man.
Yeah, you did. 17.
Another Raw Deal sounds like the title of a Junkyard album.
It was a great place. It was cool.
Yeah, it was.
They had a big sign. They had a big sign as at the exit that said, "It'll be better next time."
Pretty rock and roll. It was kind of a rock and roll place to play. It might have been right around the Thundercloud, beginnings of that, where, all your hippie buddies were working at Thundercloud Subs, which is an Austin original, And then, it's safe to say another Raw Deal was not a chain restaurant. There was one closer to downtown or East 6th Street called Raw Deal, and then West 6th Street, another Raw Deal, and that's where all of this thing started. But
a lot of musicians,
Billy Problem, and people from
Larry Seaman and Shoshona from the Standing Waves, and lots of musicians passed through those doors.
Ty Gavin,
punching a clock.
Yeah. Ty Gavin and just members of punk rock and hard rock bands. And I was the headbanger amidst that crowd. But I was taken in like a lost dog. It was great.
You fit in just fine.
It was great, man. It was really, really good times, and I'll never forget it. And that
was fun.
Later in later years, later 80s, I should say, that Poison video came out. I don't know what song it was, but it opens up with a dishwasher with his hair in a ponytail, and he's got a boombox, and people are like, dude, and the guy even looked like me.
Yeah, I remember that totally. I hadn't thought about that in years. But you're right.
Jason, you're the guy in the Poison video, and I'm like, more than you fucking know.
It might have been Ain't Looking for Nothing But a Good Time, maybe.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah,
and then the boss comes in, he goes, You've got 2 speeds, slow and stop. Move it. Turns off the radio.
Memorized it. Well, I remember the wait staff like opening the swing door, and like, the dishwasher shit is right there, like just cracking the door going, Jason, that's way too fucking loud. Not to mention it was Merciful Fate or Venom or something right after Saxon. So they're probably, you damned in hell. They're hearing Satan wash dishes. So it's,
man, these are great beginnings. So
Davy Jones worked there too. Jesus.
Yeah, Davy Jones from the Hickoids.
It's fucking legend it was.
Wow. Yeah, my memory's failing me now, but yeah, there are a lot of musicians worked there.
Wow.
From some of them not as long as others, but they're musicians.
But early days in the Roach family, kind of being staple there as well, and good times. And then our times at high school, I don't remember us being like really chummy in high school, like hanging out all the time and shit. But you knew the same people that I knew, and there were these total connections the entire time.
Well, there was the smoking section in the back. You didn't smoke, but that was kind of the gathering place for all the misfits.
Right. When you think about the Breakfast Club, and you think about all the John Hughes movies and the Duckies and the Dazed and Confused scenes and things like that, where everything's all clicky, I believe, and I'm going to go on a limb here, and maybe you can correct me, but I feel like you and I were able to hang out with the jocks and the hippies and the nerds, whatever. I feel like you and I were able to sort of get along with everyone and still have our opinions, and also just be who we were in those clips. I don't remember ever getting into any, and I thought that was interesting when I moved to Austin, because I was still a newbie up from Corpus, 80, 81. That was me brand new around here in Austin. And it wasn't like that growing up down in Corpus. It was the jocks were not into you if you wore a Kiss t-shirt every day. They didn't understand that. And my philosophy is because their parents wouldn't let them dress like that or wear their hair however they wanted. There was no individualism. It was more like, and that's what rock and roll is for. Those kids were like, their parents, I just feel sorry for them a little bit, or maybe I don't. Fuck them. But it was kind of like if you're going to live under this roof, you're going to dress like this. And if you join the football team, you're going to be the fucking quarterback. And when you join the army, you're going to be the general. And there was it was fail and it was kill or be killed under their house. There was no like individualism whatsoever. It was
right. It wasn't, creativity wasn't encouraged.
No, not at all. And that's what's great about Austin and what I learned about the kids at Austin High, you know.
Well, the first year I went there, because I transferred from Travis over to Austin, and there was 4 punks there. It was me and Carla Epler from Toxic Shock and a couple of younger guys. And one day the entire senior class was supposed to beat us up. What? And there was guys with pipe wrenches and shit. And so they called us into the office and they suspended us because they said we were a distraction by the way we dressed.
But never mind the guy with the pipe wrench.
Yeah. So I didn't really get too tight with the jocks. Eventually I did, but
yeah.
I mean, I won I was the homecoming king, and the way I got that gig was because of all the misfits. You know, it was like a rebellion. You know, again.
Yeah.
And the jocks were bummed.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, because I was friends with the rockers, the special ed kids, everybody. So there was more of us than them, I guess.
That's what I recall about those good years between like 80 and like 82. That's exactly what I remember about it. And Miss Stubbs, our art teacher, was probably the coolest teacher on campus.
Miss Griffith.
Letting you guys bring in records and stuff. And I learned a lot from the records you brought in. And
you turned me on to Motorhead.
I'm
sick. Eternally grateful. You remember that?
You're welcome. I mean, I brought in Ace.
You brought in Ace of Spades one day, because I think on Fridays or something we could all bring records in and play them. And you brought in Motorhead, and you got to check this band out. They're fucking cool. And I was like, oh hell yeah. Thanks.
ZZ Top on More Speed.
So Jason, what did Roach turn you on to? If you turned him on to Motorhead,
I remember him bringing in shit like Grandmaster Flash.
Oh yeah, wow.
I remember you bringing in like
probably Fear and Circle Jerks and
I mean
Grandmaster.
I had that kind of stuff going on via Randy, my brother, right?
Yeah,
who was hanging out with your brother and all the Burtons and.
Yes.
And Rob Buford and the younger and Felix and the younger punk kids,
Yes.
And so I was already turned on to Fear and Circle Jerks, who are still to this day my favorites. Those records that came out in 1980 are still number one to me. This was pre-Watchtower. And when I joined Watchtower, they were unaware because and I don't mean to throw those guys under the bus because they're kings in their own right, but their attitude was a little bit too leaning into, punk is for people who can't play their instruments they just didn't know, bless their souls. And I go, you are so...
We had to learn. That's how we learned.
Right. You are so full of shit. Let me unveil this. And I turned them on to Fear, the record, and Group Sex by Circle Jerks, and they changed their underwear immediately. Like they knew exactly. They were like, "Holy Christ!" They completely changed their religion after that. So,
nice. I saw Billy White a couple years back with Alejandro.
Really? Yeah. Well, I think he toured with Alejandro Escovedo's band. I don't recall what they were called at the time. Solo.
I don't remember either.
Yeah,
Sensitive Boys.
Okay.
But I didn't recognize him, but Alejandro at one point, introduced the band, and it was Billy White, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. He's like he's a monk now. He's a priest.
Really?
Yeah. He does.
I saw that coming.
Yeah. Well, are you being facetious or no? You never saw it coming.
Of course, usually.
Yeah, right. From heavy metal shredder to monk priest. And you know what? I ran into him fairly recent. During lockdown, actually. I hooked up with him for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And we just actually sat on a park bench and just chatted, and it was great. And, he's always been kind of a wonder kid, and everybody knows that. So, he's just completely this like spiritual, still plays, raising his son. And that was great. So Good Billy stories. Metal Dave, throw another one at Mr. Roach, please.
So I wanted to know, David moved out to California and eventually got signed to Geffen Records as the frontman for Junkyard. And Dangerous Toys stayed in Austin and got signed. So you guys kind of drifted apart. David went out to California. Jason kind of stayed put. But your careers started to sort of take off at the same time. You were signed around the same time. Your debut album came out around the same time. You were on the
our videos debuted back to back on Headbanger or whatever Headbanger's Ball. Like it's an early version of it in that summer of '89. It's like our video came on, and right after it, right after it, it's like we couldn't have planned that.
That's some crazy synchronicity right there. So you guys are miles apart.
I want to throw this in there too. I think, David, were you in a band called the Strapados? Am I saying that right?
Strapados.
I have a flyer where Watchtower is playing a gig with Strapados. I have a flyer.
Really?
That would have been later, just before. Didn't you have that band before you moved to Hollywood?
Yeah, and I moved out with Johnny, the drummer, and my guitar player, who didn't end up staying with the band, but
right. Chris, right?
No, a guy named Max, who wrote, who co-wrote Hollywood.
Okay, and when did Chris come out later, or I didn't know that?
No, Chris was already living in LA. He'd been living there about a year and was still trying to put a band together. So when we got out there, we hooked him up, or looked him up, and he was working at a clothing store called Die Laughing. And we didn't have any place to stay, so he let us stay in the shop one night. And the owners came in the morning and fired Chris. And then we were all homeless.
So rock and roll.
Yeah.
That is Hollywood, man.
Fuck yeah.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, no. So, man, that is crazy. So you guys, your videos, your debut videos debut back to back on Headbangers Ball on MTV. Were you able to call each other and go, dude, did you see that? Or what was the,
No, we just went on tour together instead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where I was
a couple of months later, actually, September '89, that would have been. So our videos, the debuts of those records, Hollywood and just debut Tease and, the Tease and Please and the first Toys record would have been like mid-May, May 9th. I think ours came out May 9th of '89, and yours would have been right after or right before.
I got no mind for that stuff.
All good. So it doesn't matter. The fact is that
my drummer knows all the chronological stuff. I'm too brain damaged.
He has the elephant memory, right?
Yeah. But I remember when we were touring, like one of the first couple nights, we all got loaded and we put all the pool, the patio furniture from the pool at the hotel into the pool, and we're just sitting around on the furniture in the pool. And we got in, we were acting like rock stars, I guess. But your management, I think, from that point on, made sure that our hotels were like on the opposite sides of whatever town we were in. We were very good influence on each other.
That is hilarious. They pulled it.
You remember that?
No, they pulled the scout leader shit. Y'all need not be hanging around with those ne'er-do-wells. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Good management.
But I didn't realize that that's what it was. Maybe
you
they
probably already gone to bed.
Yeah, it's probably true.
But Danny and a couple of the other guys, we got pretty stupid.
I'm gonna Danny Aaron from my band. Yeah, jumped in with you guys. Yeah, and maybe Mike Watson.
Yeah.
Danny and Mike Watson. If it wasn't Mike and Mark Gary, like just getting completely blotto, it was if Mark had gone to bed, Mike hooked up with Danny because Danny was looking for trouble all the time.
Well, him and Brian Baker got in some trouble in LA. They were out partying one night. I think Baker got a DUI that night.
Oh shit.
Ooh, man.
So how Danny was along for the ride.
How long
Wow.
did this tour last? Junkyard and Dangerous Toys. How long were you out together?
Probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
Florida. I feel like we were in Florida for like a week.
Wow.
Like half of it was Florida.
So that's a pretty good tour. And if you're in Florida, then you basically covered the country. So I guess,
Well, we started, where did we start that? St.
Again,
Louis. St. Louis. We played this place
no
called,
idea.
we played this place called,
You got a steel trap for a memory.
I'm telling you, man, it comes up with.
we played, I remember the club across the street because we played it like a month before. That place was called First Rock. It was called Midnight. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And that was in St. Louis. That could have been the first night or maybe the second night. But I do remember playing with you guys in Portland, Oregon. And John Bush from Armored Saint showed up. And I lost my mind because he was a pen pal from the old days. And we had half of Armored Saint's road crew out with us and their sound man. So,
Oh, wow.
you know, it might have been our tour manager that pulled that. Like, you guys can't stay at the same hotel as Junkyard.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
And
That's how I
were,
remember.
and then we were bum kids probably for just a minute, going, "Oh man, we wanted to play Rockstar with those guys."
Yeah.
Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you hear how much Jason can remember about all that stuff? Jason is your brain, and I'm your brain on drugs.
I'm struggling. I'm still struggling a little bit, but it was a good time. But I do remember where we ended it. Do you remember that? It was at a water park in Big Surf called Big Surf in Tempe, Arizona, with Faster Pussycat on the bill. Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
I think that's the only time I ever saw Chris Gates cry.
What was he crying about?
It was the end of the tour for us.
Oh, we were all emotional.
We were done and we got emotional because it was like it was perfect. Dangerous Toys and Junkyard have always had this really cool, just because it's dirty rock and roll and it didn't really fit in with what was happening. It's not Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
It's just not. So
from there, you know, the three of us have heard or told this story a million times, but it never gets old, at least to me. And we've got a new audience listening. So I wanted David to talk briefly about, for those who don't know, shortly thereafter, I would imagine, you guys, Junkyard, took out the Black Crowes as your opening act on their first national tour. They were your opening band.
Yeah, whatever happened to those guys?
Fuck, I don't know. You know, hit songs. I don't know.
Yeah. So my question is,
I saw that show at the back room in Austin.
Yeah. So did their star start to rise on that tour, or did that kind of happen after you guys were done?
No, they were taking off. I mean, I remember like we were playing the Stone in San Francisco, and Hetfield was there, and I was like, James Hetfield's here, man. I was telling Brian Baker, was like,
Kirk Hammett was
cool.
there
too. And Baker was like, he's not here to see us. I was like, damn
it. They approached me, Kirk and James, and they said, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And I was freaking out because total fanboy, as Mr. Roach knows, I'm a fanboy, and I'm like, "Whoa, what's up, guys?" And they're like, "We're here to see you," and I couldn't speak after that.
Wow,
we're here to see you. You know, they were paying it forward a little bit, and that would have been '89, and they were already fucking gods at that point. In '89, holy shit.
Yeah. So the Black Crowes start to take off a little bit while they're on tour with Junkyard. Did their popularity grow to a point where they had to leave the tour and go do their own thing, or did they finish out the tour with you?
No, they finished it. I mean, it was another like maybe 3-4 week run. So,
okay.
But their star was rising quickly.
So did they ever offer to return the favor?
Not yet. God damn it, Robinson. I was so cool to that guy.
Yeah.
No, we were tight. I mean, I haven't had any contact with him since, but like he never had vocal lessons or anything, and I had like these tapes like warm up tapes and stuff. And I let them come onto our bus because they were in a van at the time, and warm up with my cassettes.
That's cool.
And yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Wow.
Awesome.
Fun tour.
That's awesome. And I've always thought that was a really cool bragging right. If you don't brag about it, I'll brag about it for you, because I've always thought that was really cool.
So to be clear, on the Dangerous Toys Junkyard Tour or the Junkyard Dangerous Toys Tour, your preference?
I can't remember who opened for who.
It doesn't even matter. So
If we traded off or something.
James and Kirk were at that show. So that means they were also at the Stone again to see you and the Black Crowes. Just to be clear for listeners or whatever.
Wow.
I would put my money on they were big Dangerous Toys fans and Black Crowes fans. We just happened to be there.
I would doubt that. I think that all of their drinking buddies were just there to see the rock show, and they get in free at the Stone and they drink free at the Stone. Enough said.
It's the local rock club. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short, and I won't do it. I will do the same.
And then the other story that always comes up when we're talking junkyard is another thing I've always thought was really cool is the fact that Axl Rose had so many photos taken wearing a junkyard T-shirt, and those. I think he did a photo shoot, and there was actually some official promo photos for Geffen Records that went out that have him wearing the junkyard shirt. And then there was candid shots of him on stage, etc. And I know the story. It was
that's advertisement you can't buy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I know that it was, a bit of what I call a happy accident that he ended up wearing the shirt. But I know, he was also a fan of the band. So did you guys hang out at all, or were you like drinking buddies, or were you just kind of respectful of each other as being guys?
What happened was we were playing the show, and Axl and Duff and Slash maybe were there, and we happened to, Chris Gates used to do a silk screening, making T-shirts. So we DIY'd it and made a bunch of junkyard shirts in our living room. And we just had them to throw out, for promotion or whatever. And so that night they came in, we had free T-shirts. Axl got one. And like the next day, I think they had a big photo shoot. And then I think he wore it live once or twice. But yeah, there's a few photos of him with that. And it definitely helped.
I saw it in like Hit Parade or magazine or something, him, like a solo shot of him standing there. But yeah, I want to make this point right here. And I was talking about this earlier with someone. There's one thing I learned from Mr. Roach and Chris Gates and these guys is in the DIY thing, and the way like the metalheads learned it from the punk rockers, or the metalheads I hung out with learned how to do it from the punks. Use your fucking resources. So David just said, man, that's promotion that you can't pay for. You can't buy that kind of headline. You can't buy that kind of, publicity. You just can't.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that just happened like automatic, like a magic, just same time and space, just happened to be there, and
right time, right place.
Yeah, and they had a photo shoot the next day, and here's this clean laundry that I just got. Whether I can name one Junkyard song or not, I'm going to put it on. And look, he
actually came on stage and did.
It's fucking
nice,
awesome.
Not Nice Boys. One of the boys.
Rose
right Tattoo.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
awesome.
Fucking great, and that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
I've always thought that was really cool too. And speaking of well-dressed gentlemen, David, your band is famous for the denim jackets and all the patches that cover those jackets. I once described you guys as sort of the denim version of the Ramones. How often do you
this one?
Yeah, there you go.
The other one.
Well, so that's my question. How many jackets have you been through, or how often do you change out the patches, or give us some sense of the maintenance involved in these jackets, or how many you've lost, how many you've replaced, etc.
I had that jacket for 30 years, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, it was literally disintegrating. So I took all the patches off and I got a new jacket and sewed them all back on again.
So you sew them yourself? You do this yourself?
Well, I have to admit, it was kind of a project. So I took it to a tailor and told him to put them exactly where they were from the old one. And then I've added to them since because I think my old jacket shrunk because it didn't fit as well 30 years later.
That happens.
So the one I have now is a little bigger, so it has more space, so I could.
Yeah, that happens to everybody, I think.
But I wanted to say, in case you didn't catch this, I have a painting that I did in Miss Griffith's art class of these guys hanging on a stoop in New York, and one guy's got a jacket, a jacket vest with a spade on the back, and it says Bronx Spades.
I saw that post,
and that was totally. I mean, I didn't even think about it when Chris Gates came up with the idea, and we stole that that logo, the spade with the floral wreath thing from a Motorhead flyer. When we first moved to town, Motorhead was playing at the Santa Monica Civic, and we were, trying to figure out a logo or whatever, and we stole it right off of a flyer. I actually got to tell Lemmy that story because Jet Boy used to have parties all the time at their place, and Lemmy would always be there. And so I got the courage to talk to him one night, and I was like, "Yeah, we totally stole your logo from a flyer." And he was like, "Oh, mate, fucking good luck to you, And then I asked him for a swig of his Jim Beam because he had a bottle of Jim Beam, and he said, "Oh, yeah, fucking." And I took it and I dropped it on his boot, and he was like, "Oh, you fucking cunt." He was a very nice man, though.
Yes.
So
very cool guy.
So over the years, you've had different members come in and out of the band, and so going back to the jackets, have you ever had to supply a jacket for the new guy in the band, or do they come into the thing ready, knowing that it's part of the gig?
Well, I think they got a back patch or something, and then it was up to them to figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah. The reason I ask you about whether or not you sewed the patches on yourself is because I've got a couple jackets that have the patches and stuff, but I have to rely on super glue, man. They either have to be
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's either got to be an iron-on or super glue, or else I safety pin the patches all over my jacket, but I've never been able to sew them on myself.
Yeah,
I learned how to sew a long time ago.
Yeah, me too.
It's a good skill.
You start with the safety pins, and then you sew a corner, you take a break for about 6 months. You sew another corner, you take a break for 6 months.
Yeah. So you guys went on hiatus for 27 years or something like that after the 6s, 7s, and 9s record. You did 2 albums for Geffen, late 80s, early 90s. And then you came back in 2017 with the album High Water, which I love, man. I think I spun that record. Probably that and LA Guns, The Missing Piece have probably been the 2 records that I've listened to the most in the past 5 years. And I love the High Water record.
Thanks.
I think it stands up to anything you've ever done. And so then you gained some momentum because of that record, and then you put out Old Habits Die Hard and It Was Burning. And I know you're currently working on some new songs, a new album. Can you give us a little update on the progress of the new album? I've heard Lifer and I've heard Last of a Dying Breed, and it sounds like you're off to a great start.
I think this might be our best record. I don't know how soon we're going to be able to get it out. Those songs you mentioned, we're going to release, I think, in August as a single and a B-side. And then we're going to continue to write. We're about 2/3 of the way there for a full album, but it's coming along well.
Wow. What I've heard so far is as soon as you turn it on, it's like, what? This sounds like Junkyard.
Yeah.
And then I hear you sing, and I'm like, I like being right.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Junkyard because we were, there was a 26-year gap between records. There wasn't a lot of time for, experimenting with new sounds or growing as a band or any emotional maturity or anything. So we just kind of started where we left off.
Thank God.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. We didn't ever do our jazz exploration.
Right. You didn't learn how to play synthesizer solos or anything in that 20 gap. You just kept your dirty old microphone, and that's all you need.
Grunge or anything like that. So
we didn't bring a symphony in or anything.
There was a story that Tim, your guitarist, told me and Jason. The last time we saw you, you were in town playing with Broken Teeth. The bill was Junkyard and Broken Teeth here in Austin. And we were back in the green room area or whatever you call it with you guys. Mm-hmm. And Tim was telling us about the song Lifer. And he told a story, and I mentioned this to Jason. I don't think he remembers it as well as I do, but Tim was saying something about the song was kind of in the works and you were looking for a title for the song, and somehow Jason came up in conversation, and
I know what.
Take it from here.
Well, I think because I just read that too, and I wasn't even aware of it, but Brian Baker, who still writes with us, him and Tim were working on the song. And Jason came up, and Baker was like, "How's Jason doing?" And Tim was like, "You know, Jason, he's a lifer." And they both just went, "Bam, that's it, rock and roll lifer."
Yeah. So he inspired the title of the song, and then now that I've heard the song and I hear the lyrics, I don't know if the lyrics were already put together and the title came along and the chorus came along later or whatever. But it's a very fitting song, and the idea that Jason was sort of the inspiration in some indirect way is pretty cool.
Sounds pretty direct to me.
Glad I was just standing on the side of the road going, "What?" I'm just doing
that's what Jason is, man. He's been a lifer. He's been metal or rock music has been his thing since he was a kid, and he never stopped.
Yeah. And I know Todd told me that you guys, he's currently editing a video or something. You got a video coming out. Tell us about that.
Well, we shot it in Pat's garage, same garage we shot Faded from
Perfect
High Water. And there's another performance thing which we've done for the last 3 or 4 videos, but I wanted to splice in like still shots of.
What song is this, by the way?
Lifer.
Okay, it's Lifer. All right.
Yeah, and I wanted to splice in photos, so we all, everybody in the band submitted photos for the idea, and it's like just old shots of us when we were young, lots of iconic rock photos, but kind of off the beaten path if we could find them, shots of Debbie Harry and Joey Ramone or Motorhead or Peter Tosh. Just we wanted to have the whole gamut, of all these, great bands, people who influence us or whatever, and just kind of, bam, 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 shot after shot. So kind of, for those diehard fanboys, they'll have to be pressing pause every 2 seconds to figure out who's in the photos,
Well, if you have it fast enough and you can have a giveaway, like a contest, name all of the still shots in the Lifer video and you get a free t-shirt.
You get a free backpack.
That's a lot of work for a free t-shirt.
Well, I love that. I love that
what?
concept. That's an awesome concept.
It's not a lot of work if you're the right kind of fanboy.
Right.
So when does the video come out?
I don't know. Soon. Well, I don't imagine they would put it out before the single comes out, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't live in that end of the fucking world. That's not my wheelhouse. Everybody else takes care of the business. To my detriment, I just take no interest in that
That's all right. Well,
I got to plug in. Hang on.
that's all right. I feel like in bands, everybody wears a hat. Like this is the media guy, and this is the, it's
Sure.
kind of like
It's a team.
yeah, it's a team. You gotta
Everybody has their strengths.
Yeah, you got a defense, you got an offense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you came back with High Water in 2017, and so did you guys have any aspirations of it being sort of a fresh starting block to continue this again for any length of time? Or was it did you go into High Water as thinking, you know what, we got some songs kicking around, we got a record deal, let's knock out a record, see what happens? And, was there a plan for this to continue? Because obviously you've built some momentum and some traction now. And I think it seems to me, except for COVID, you guys are a pretty active band again.
Yeah. And we're about to get busy again. But we were gigging, we were playing around before High Water. But we weren't actively seeking a deal. But in the meanwhile, we were, writing a little bit in case we did get an opportunity. So it worked out. We had a couple of deals dangled in front of us that didn't work out. And then we hooked up with Acetate Records and got it done. And you're right. I don't know, Junkyard is pretty high energy as far as our performance and stuff. And we're getting up there,
to say the least.
So it's, I don't want to do it if I can't do it 110%, bringing the energy every night.
Yeah.
But it's, and COVID's, that was I figured we had a few years maybe, and that COVID was a bummer because we just lost a whole year there. But, it's going to get pretty ridiculous trying to act like teenage punk rockers when we're 60s.
Right.
Well, I think your shows I've always told people that your shows bring out the rowdies. All the rowdy people come out. And, some of that I think is because I'm based in Austin and you've got roots in Austin and you've got a lot of, old school, longtime friends and family. And so there's already a built-in rowdy component, but it's pretty amazing to watch. I like to be in the front row and singing every word, but a Junkyard show, I might just take a few steps back.
Look, when we played ACL, their little second stage thing.
Yeah.
I think there'd only been one rock show prior to us, and that was Y&T or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went on stage within like halfway through the first song, there was a pit and people were getting thrown out, and they were a little hesitant because they didn't know how a rock show would work there. And then we were a little worried because it was such a fiasco. They were like, oh man, I wonder what they thought of that. But the owners loved it. And the bouncers were going, this is the first time I've had to do anything the whole time I've worked here.
Yeah.
So they were,
Junkyard gave the staff something to fucking do. It sounds like the
job.
And the bartenders were fucking busy as shit too.
I was just gonna say.
The complete staff loves it because the tip jars were full. The bouncers got to throw somebody out and then make friends with them and let them back in because that's how it is.
Yeah.
That's how you guys are. That's how your fans are. That's how your family is. So
and thank you.
Whatever.
That's how that's like every Junkyard show. The bartenders love us because our fans drink like fish. So they always have a good bar night when we're playing.
Yeah, and that particular venue had you back, so everything must have been just fine.
For a third time,
coming up,
broken teeth.
Yeah,
coming up for a third time. Yeah, this December.
Right, Jason. We're playing together again.
Yeah, we're gearing up for another Broken Teeth Junkyard night at 310 Live. That ACL. I like how Roach called it the second stage.
Yeah,
because it kind of is. It's like in the basement. It's the basement of ACL of the Moody Theater.
But it's a great venue, man. I mean,
clean.
It sounds great there.
It's clean. The staff is professional, and then
right.
and then Junkyard shows up.
Great green room too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel so lucky to live in Austin because that pairing, Junkyard and Broken Teeth, is not a pairing that most people will get to see, because Broken Teeth is local and you guys will pass through town and then move on. But what a great combination, Broken Teeth
Yeah.
and Junkyard.
We're like peas and carrots.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go back. I want to go back to the Geffen Records years. And our producer, Jared Tuten, was also signed to Geffen Records about the same time as you. His band was called Pariah. And
Oh, yeah.
was there any sense among Geffen rock bands at that time that Guns N' Roses was starting to explode and they were getting the lion's share of all the Geffen resources and budget pushed at them at the expense of, Junkyard or Pariah or other bands? Did you feel kind of like, all of a sudden you weren't getting the love that you needed because the big boys were taking off?
No,
they were good to you.
No, I think some bands make it, some bands don't. You're either huge or you're, it doesn't work out for everybody. And it's there's a million factors, and I don't get bitter about that. I feel blessed that I can still do it at all,
Sure.
And now I'm just bugging for cult status.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you got that a long time ago. So
that's true. You want to read my high school yearbook, what David Roach wrote in there?
Yeah, you got it handy.
Classic. Well, it's on the shelf back over here.
Oh, okay.
But it said, I think it said, get a lot of girls pregnant and be a big rock star, and so you can support my coke habit.
I did not say that.
Let me go get it. It'll be worth it.
Oh my God. Oh man. I'm sorry.
I didn't do any of those things either.
That's classic. I just remember him, when I met Jason, obviously I was a Junkyard fan. He goes, oh yeah, I went to high school with David. And then, by the way, he signed my yearbook. He showed me this and I was like, this is crazy, man. This is so cool. He's back. Does he have the yearbook?
Can't believe I found it. Can't believe I found it so fast.
This is going to be funny for two of us.
Yeah. You might be right.
What year is that?
Well, I'm a dropout. I'm a high school dropout.
Oh.
This was I went long enough. I went to Austin High long enough to put on the tux and take the senior photo, but I didn't. But I left.
Yeah. What class what class is that from? The yearbook.
This is from. I would have been a junior, about to be a senior. Like,
doesn't it say it on the front cover? You drop out.
No one signed it. Jason. You're going to be a dropout. So here's
but does it say what year it was on the front cover?
Yeah, it says 1982, which is the year I should have graduated, which I did not. So here's just my regular picture. It's hard to fuck up the camera. Someone wrote in red, "Fuck you, heavy metal rules," and I would like to say that I look exactly the same.
You do.
I'd like to say I look exactly the fucking same. But see, the cool thing is David Roach had a photo of you had a photo in here that someone included, and it might have been one that Russ Duke took that I was talking about earlier, because Pat Doyle posted a bunch of old like punk scene photos, and it was a picture of your brother Pat and Felix. They had to be like 12 years old at the Misfit show, right? Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, you saw that?
I just saw that photo yesterday.
So awesome.
So the Misfit show, the big boys opened that show, didn't they?
Probably would have been them or the Dicks. Probably Big Boys.
Yeah, I think I just recently saw a flyer that said Misfits and the Big Boys, and I want to say it was at the Ritz in Austin.
Yeah.
So
that was it.
If you were at that show, you obviously saw Chris Gates. Were you guys friends at that point? Were you aware of each other?
Well, we were acquaintances. We actually got to be better friends around 85, 84, 85, right before he left. But the big boys were always, they were supportive of all the young bands. And, Biscuit and Gary Floyd from the Dicks, Chris, they always encouraged the young bands, no matter how bad we sucked.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
Didn't they have like a sort of a mantra, now go start your own fucking band or something like that?
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, that's big boys.
Yeah.
So
I'm still looking for this infamous signature.
Keep looking.
I'm gonna find it. You guys carry on while I look for it. It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
You got to do your homework before the show, man.
Well, I didn't think that it was going to be that like awesome of a moment, David. I'm sorry.
So it's a spontaneous kind of thing.
Speaking of Chris Gates, you guys, were half of Junkyard. You two moved out to California together and basically
No,
I
met Chris.
Right.
We reconnected a year.
Okay.
When I moved there a year after him.
There
just
you are.
to make history correct.
Wow.
Well, there you are. So that's the pagans. There you are with the pagans.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay.
That made the yearbook.
Yeah. You don't have this fucking yearbook? Holy shit. This is not, I kept it because some of my oldest friends are still in here. You being one of them. You're one of the reasons I kept this fucking piece of shit. I'm still bros with Mike Solis, and I know Mike Solis.
Yeah.
And and he's in here. So here, you're the first one, and notice you're the biggest. You're over the Commodores, bro. The Commodores are over here, and you're as big as they are.
Wow.
So it's with the pagans.
House.
David Roach creates his own music as singer in a local band, but they don't mention that it was the fucking pagans. Okay, here, you ready? This is what, and I quote, this is your handwriting, written in black ink. Jason, have a cool life and get a lot of chicks pregnant and become a star and play at Special Event Center and that's the Frank Irwin Center, Special Event Center, and get rich and support my coke habit. But don't forget me when you get rich. Just kidding. Parentheses, not really. Your friend, David Roach, pagans.
Yeah, there you go.
That's classic, man. That is.
And what were you saying? I did not write that. You did, dude.
Man,
I say stupid shit all the time.
Well,
I didn't really want you to impregnate a bunch of women.
No, I know that, and I don't worry, I didn't.
I still support the rest of it, though.
Yeah, well, shit.
He's still waiting. He's still waiting for you to make good on the rest of it, Jason.
Yeah. Help a brother out.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, I'm really glad that I kept this, and you're one of the reasons why.
Oh,
the year I graduated, there's a great picture of me the homecoming king and queen picture, because I'm all dressed in punk, my
I
punk.
bet.
So, and Chrissy Looney, my queen, is in her head cheerleader's uniform.
Wow. Would you have graduated a year after me? Is that what's up?
I graduated 84.
84, so a couple of years.
Because I stayed in school.
Yes, you did. So wait a minute. So I was ahead of you a year, kind of a thing. Is that right?
A couple, I guess.
Dude,
Yeah, a couple.
like,
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that I was the elder gent between the two of us.
Well,
do you remember doing a gig with Watchtower downtown Austin, like on Red River oh my God.
Are you sure it happened?
Yeah. Yeah, I have pictures.
Right, then I'm not going to argue with you anymore. You got all this proof.
Archivist.
Right.
Every time I deny something, you're gonna prove me wrong.
Yeah,
got all this
prove me a liar.
He's about to whip out the flyer.
Oh man.
Do you remember the gig? Do you remember the gig at Austin High School? Watchtower played, and was that the same night or the same day Big Boys and Crucifix played?
No, I was in a band with Mike Solis. We were just a cover band called Fallen Angel, and there's a picture.
Yeah, I remember Fallen Angel.
There's a picture of it in the yearbook of what you're talking about, the spring thing.
Right. Yeah.
And the big boys played, and the Crucifix or whatever played, and they were all walking around, and people were just like, "Holy Christ, holy shit!"
Because those guys were fucking. I mean,
dude, they were like, they had nails.
They looked like English punk rock.
Exactly.
Big mohawks and leather jackets with studs.
Yeah, they're the kind of band that you see on the postcards when you land in Heathrow.
Exactly.
The turnstile with the like the pink mohawks and shit. That's what they look like.
Yeah,
they were in
Austin punks were like t-shirt and jeans. So these guys were like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't getting on their skateboard outright, quitting, skipping school so they could go skate ditches. That's the kind of punk rockers Austin produced. So
yeah. Vans and shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah.
Back when I just reconnected with the girl that I was dating right before I left Austin.
Wow.
And she just moved from LA, and she encouraged me to get out there and do it. But she said, you got to change your look. Everybody in LA have an image, and you can't look like you just got off your job at the gas station when you go on stage. And I said, well, isn't that a look?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. When you think about, what's going on in those movies I mentioned earlier, when you think about a certain kind of character, like in the Dazed and Confused, whether you're a hippie or a punk or a dude, there's a guy with the sleeves cut off and dirty jeans. And then, next thing you know, you see the dudes in Metallica and Exodus. They're dressed exactly like that. Your parents are hippies and you're rebelling against them. So you're playing louder and angrier music. That's a normal
because
process.
It's hard to rebel against hippie parents.
They're so
there's fucking
nothing
cool.
There's nothing to rebel against. So you find a way. You find a way other than fuck your Led Zeppelin. I'm gonna play Led Zeppelin backwards and faster. Not talk about love and hippie shit like Frodo and the Shire.
Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
So, David, you admittedly, you don't have the steel trap mind that Jason does. But if we went back to the Geffen years, the first two albums with Junkyard, was there ever a gig where did you do arenas as an opening act with any major headliners, or were there any tours like that, or were you basically
the biggest thing we ever did was Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Oh, right. Okay. And so when was the Skynyrd tour? That would have been your second album?
91.
Yeah. Okay.
91, I believe.
So how was that? Because you guys, you seem to be kindred spirits, but to me, Junkyard is a much rowdier animal. So how'd you go over with the Skynyrd crowd?
Well, it's sort of like opening for Grateful Dead or, one of those, they don't want to see the opening act. But we did okay. We did fine. Yeah. And the Skynyrd guys dug us. So, fuck them.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
we should have
to.
we kind of got lumped into that Southern rock thing because of Simple Man and because we sort of had that Southern thing, I guess.
When you think about whatever they're saying, like however you get lumped in, because you did have some songs that sort of fit into what it is they are sort of pulling you into anyway, because of that, just because of that.
And we were compatible for sure.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they were paying attention at all, they could have found some new love for a new band.
Yeah.
Well, we never got booed off stage.
Well, there's that.
Go.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Jason and the Scorchers, who I thought were awesome. And they opened for Ramones, who got booed off stage.
Wow.
I actually played with Jason and the Scorchers years later. And I told them that story, and they go, yeah, I remember that show.
Uh-oh.
And we all laughed about it, but,
Wow. So you also...
That's another example of how, the Ramones, people who want to see the Ramones don't care about the opening band. They want to see the Ramones. So it's a tough gig.
Those bands that are institutions, it's like their religion, and if you bring in any kind of new religion, they're like, nope, need to check your ID.
Yeah. I just want to see the Grateful Dead Ramones.
Nice. That's our new tribute. Right.
Yeah. That's
The Grateful Dead Ramones. But yeah, a cross between Ramones and Grateful Dead hits.
Just play
Good cover band.
Grateful Dead songs fast like the Ramones.
It's a tie-dye T-shirt under your leather jacket.
Ouch. It's ugly. Or a tie-dye leather jacket.
Ooh, that's
gross. I'm throwing up. Okay, let's scratch this idea.
let's move on. So, David, real quick, and we'll let you go. But wanted to ask you, what was the first memory you have that got you hooked on rock and roll? Was it an album? Was it a concert? Was it a band on television? Was it your parents' record collection? What tripped that switch in your mind and put you here on Talk Louder today?
Well, it was my parents' record collection, and I remember before we moved to Austin. I moved to Austin when I was 6, but or right after first grade. I remember in first grade.
Where were you living? Where'd you grow up?
In Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So I remember sitting in the backyard swing and fantasizing about. I was singing Maggie May by Rod Stewart in front of a huge audience. And the audience was split right down the middle with thousands of girls who were these 2 girls that I had a crush on, just multiplied.
Wow.
1,000 times. And yeah, I said, I'm going to sing.
That was
so I can pick up these 2 girls in first grade.
Well, that's a really early concept I haven't really heard it quite put that way. There's got to be some like
I like the fact that Maggie May is the song.
It's fucking brilliant.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. It's so well written. There's that, and then I just can't get over it. You were in first grade. That you were such a young character, sort of like figuring that out, that you wanted to do that.
Well, it didn't fully manifest it right then, but I moved to Austin, and I'd go to the Goodwill and get 45s, Elvis and Drifters and Platters and old 50 Shicks. I love that stuff when I was a kid. And then I graduated into, Beatles and Stones and Zeppelin and all that. And me and my sister Megan, we would like sing all the Beatles songs and write all the lyrics down, and and I don't have an original thought in my head, so I was just singing songs that are imitating like a parrot rather than so I just thought that was. My boss keeps calling me, but yeah, I think I imitated the stuff that I liked. I tried to make impersonations of the way they sang, and that's kind of how I learned.
Yeah. That sounds like that's how everybody starts off, and it's not.
Yeah.
Everybody takes
in the shower.
Yeah. Well, it sounds good in there. At least you think it does. And then you learn about reverberation and natural tone and why you like the way that it sounds in there, because of all the hard surfaces and things. So that's a great. I learned a lot about David Roach today, and I really appreciate you as a person.
I remember a lot about David Roach today.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. Since we're this shit. By the way, do you know we're recording this and putting this shit out, right?
He's aware. I told him.
Okay, good.
You're doing what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an open book, man. I got nothing to hide. I am what I am. Like Popeye. What are you gonna do about it?
Well, that's what makes you.
Love you, man.
Yeah, that's what makes you great, and that's why we invited you on Talk Louder.
Yeah, and
I really appreciate the invite. It's been great talking to you guys.
Awesome.
It's been a blast, man. I
can't wait to see you again, Jason, to have some shows again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
Let's hope nothing nutty happens between now and then. So positive thoughts.
Yeah.
That's not for certain.
Yeah, it's not.
Leroy.
It's never
My
is.
boss Leroy has been coming in to bother me. Leroy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll pick him up. I'm wrapping this up right now.
He's on it. He missed the bus by Bonds. He's walking down the road on the right.
Okay.
So you see him on the right.
Yeah, I'll go pick him up.
Yeah, somewhere between Bonds and.
I had to go pick up old Jorge.
This is classic.
All right.
Man. This is classic. Okay, well,
We got
before you get fired, we're going to wrap this up and let you go. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. I don't know if I've laughed so hard on an episode as I have today. This has been awesome. And I look forward to you making your way back to Texas. And I always look forward to seeing you in Austin. So
As do I.
in the meantime, give my best to your bandmates. I love those guys just as much as you, and can't wait
Will
to
do. I think Muscat has sort of a man crush on you.
And that's fine.
I love Todd. I
Yeah,
love Todd.
I'm sure that's a normal thing. You know what we didn't talk about is those shows that you did with Danko Jones, who I am a huge fan of, and he loves you guys. And I heard him talk good things about you guys, and Todd got back to me after those shows we did before the shit hit the fan. And Todd got back to me after those Danko shows you guys did, and Todd was just like, Jason, you were right. He's the nicest guy in the room. He's the greatest performer on stage, and he likes Junkyard. And I said exactly what I knew.
Yeah.
Didn't know.
Knew that was going to happen.
They like me because I helped them hump gear.
Nice. Not afraid to do that. Right.
No.
You got to do something.
Yeah. Well, let's say sayonara to Dave,
right.
Mr. Roach here.
Yeah.
Pleasure all on this side of the table.
Thank you again, David, for joining us. We wish you continued success, safe travels on your way to Texas. Can't wait to see you. On behalf of our guest, David Roach, I'm Metal Dave Glessner, along with my co-host, Jason McMaster. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast.